right, thank you so much, Alyssa. Well, of course, this Thursday is the 4th of July, and while most will be spending time with family and friends having fun, it is also a very dangerous time of the year, one that a lot of doctors actually dread, as there are so many fireworks injuries. There are nearly 10,000 injuries a year due to fireworks alone. And Dr. Jeffrey Roth, a plastic surgeon with Las Vegas Plastic Surgery, is here because, Dr. Roth, you're saying this is something every year you dread. You've had to do a lot of surgery on people who've lost fingers because of fireworks, had eye injuries. It's a really serious holiday for injuries.
Yes, every year we do the same thing, as there's about 5 deaths a year from firework injuries. And if you're the burn guy on call, or if you're the hand guy on call, this is one of those holidays you're like, oh, good Lord.
Yeah.
Not just for the 4th, but also surrounding on the 3rd and this week. They were lighting these things off in my neighborhood last night. We see a lot of burns. We see a lot of hand injuries. We see a lot of eye injuries. Before the break, we were talking about, I still remember this case of this 14-year-old kid, good kid, had a firework in his hand, lit it, and tried to throw it, and it blew up in his hand, and I couldn't fix the fingers. And that's something that stays with you as a surgeon the rest of life, not to mention the kid. And you just complete the amputation, and he's minus 2 fingers just from not getting it out of his hand on the 4th of July. And so this is serious stuff.
It really is. And the thing is, too, we talk about it every year, but people clearly aren't getting the message because every year there's so many injuries, and most of these hospital visits are from teenagers.
Yes, the group that we see often in the emergency rooms are usually, the first group is 10 to 14, and the next group is 15 to 19. All those folks are more than half of statistically what we see in emergency rooms for firework injuries at this time of year. So it's a preventable problem, and we'll talk a little bit more about that, but those are one of those things, it's getting our children in trouble.
And like you said, this is so easy. Everyone wants to celebrate 4th of July. They want to buy the fireworks. They want to light them off themselves, especially young kids. So there's some really important tips that some of these things we might not think about that can really save you from being injured. And you said one of them too, of course you want to make sure you have an adult present, obviously, and basically read the instructions too.
Right. So common sense sometimes isn't so common. One is this: if you can, leave them to the professionals. We have terrific fireworks here in Las Vegas, etc. That's great. If you're going to go ahead and do the safe and sane ones. I know a lot of community groups go ahead and rely on that for fundraising. I get that. But those folks, again, have adult supervision. That's the number one. That's the key. Sparklers, don't give them to little kids. We see 10% of firework injuries we see are from sparklers. Also, common sense stuff. Do it on a dry, flat surface. Have a bucket of water ready to go. Light one at a time, not 2 at a time. If you can, wear eye protection. That's something new, and I think that's very important. Don't have doggies and kitties running around. Control as many variables as you can. There's still explosives, much smaller scale than the military or construction, but they can still do a variety of damage.
And just something simple I wouldn't have thought about. You said do not carry them around before you're lighting them in your pocket. Put them in like in a metal or a glass jar before you use them, because sometimes they can go off without warning, and you don't want them near your body. Yeah,
you just have to be careful. Again, treat it as an explosive, and that's because that's what it is. Much smaller scale, but you have to treat it with respect. You have to have the place ready to go. You have to have adequate supervision, and you have to have a plan B and a plan C. The other thing is if you get injured, don't wait around. Go and seek help immediately, whether it is a burn, whether it is a cut, whether you think, geez, I got something in my eye. Don't mess around with that. Go to your emergency room. They're set up for that, and they'll go ahead, patch you up, make sure nothing really bad is going on. So don't hesitate, don't wait.
Well, I'm just surprised you said sparklers are dangerous, because you always think those are one for the kids, but those cause 10% of injuries.
Cause about 10% of injuries, and people get that false sense of security. Oh, look, it doesn't really blow up. It just makes, light and noise a little bit. I'll give it to my 3-year-old or 4-year-old. The answer is please don't do that. They get really, really hot. Some of these kids, they get too hot and they drop them, and that's a problem, or they drop them on themselves. So you just have to be careful with all of this stuff.
Thank you so much for some very important reminders. Hope you're not too busy under the 4th fixing these injuries. Thank you, Dr. Roth.
Thank you.
All right, Jason, over to you.